It was a dark and spooky Halloween night in Ravenwood, a quaint and quiet town that seemed to have been transformed into a dark and sinister world. The town was filled with scary decorations, with pumpkins carved with demonic expressions and fake spider webs hanging on every corner. Children were trembling with excitement, barely able to contain their enthusiasm as they prepared to go door to door in search of candy and treats. But as the night progressed, the cold air and darkness seemed to envelop them, leaving them vulnerable to anything that might be lurking in the shadows. Hearing rumors about a haunted house on the outskirts of town, Lena and her friends Tom and Diana decided to venture out to find out if the stories were true. As they approached, they saw that the house was in ruins, with walls covered in moss and spider webs hanging in every corner. The strangely ajar door invited them to enter an unknown and frightening world. Despite their fear, they decided to explore the interior of the abandoned house, unaware that they were about to discover something terrifying. Upon entering the abandoned house, Lena and her friends pulled out their flashlights to see the way better. It didn't take long for a feeling of oppression to start manifesting itself, as if the atmosphere was charged with negative energy. They immediately felt uncomfortable, as if they were being watched closely. Ignoring the uncomfortable feeling, they began to explore the dusty rooms of the house, descending the creaky stairs with each step. As Lena and her friends ventured deeper into the abandoned house, their eyes were fixed on the decrepit and dusty furniture that filled the rooms. The torn and stained sofas looked like they had been used for the last time decades ago, while the tables and chairs were covered in spider webs and mold. The faded and worn carpets gave the impression that the house was undergoing a slow process of decay. In one of the rooms, there was a rusty iron bed with a stained and torn mattress thrown on the floor. Faded pictures of unknown people hung on the walls, framed with chipped gold. In another room, there was an old fireplace with pieces of coal scattered on the floor. The old and decrepit furniture added to the eerie atmosphere of the house. Suddenly, a shrill sound echoed through the house, leaving Lena and her friends petrified for a moment. They looked at each other, searching for answers, but none of them dared to speak. The silence returned, but it was interrupted by a heavy dragging, as if something or someone was being moved with difficulty upstairs. Lena felt a chill run up her spine, but decided they needed to find out what was going on. Diana, on the other hand, wanted to go back home because she was very scared, but it was Tom who made the decision to continue the expedition in the haunted house. The friends slowly and silently climbed the stairs, observing the dusty handrails and loose boards under their feet. As they approached the noise, it became increasingly loud and high-pitched, increasing the tension in their minds. When they reached the top of the stairs, they saw a slightly open door and heard the sounds of something heavy being dragged across the floor. Lena and her friends looked at each other for a brief moment before making a decision, gathering the courage to push the door and investigate what was happening. The room was dark and poorly lit, which forced the group to move further inside to see the interior of the room. Lena and her friends approached the canopy bed in the center of the room, and noticed that something was moving under the sheets. Lena reached out to pull them back and see what was underneath, but before she could react, a bony hand jumped out of the sheets and grabbed her arm. A sharp scream tore through the darkness as Lena struggled to break free from the cold, cadaverous grip. Her friends tried to help by kicking at the bony hand and body that emerged from the bed. Then, the windows of the house began to close, trapping them in that dark room. The eerie, macabre laughter of the spirit echoed through the walls, filling the space with a chilly, somber fear. With great effort, they managed to release Lena and ran frantically through the dark corridors, tripping over old furniture and sliding on dusty floors. The skeleton continued to laugh as it slowly chased them, hurling heavy objects in their direction and causing deafening crashes that echoed through the walls. Finally, the group arrived at a dead end as they realized that even the exit door had been closed, and the monster approached with a malicious smile. Lena and her friends tried to fight against it, hitting the monster with objects that did nothing against the skeletal creature's body. The monster just laughed even louder, leaving the friends with a sense of helplessness and despair. Suddenly, the group's flashlights stopped working, everything went dark, and Lena realized that she was alone. Her friends had disappeared without a trace, and the house was completely silent. She tried to run back to the entrance, but the doors and windows were locked, and she was trapped inside that scary place. Fear enveloped her completely as she realized that the skeleton had gotten what it wanted: more souls for its collection. Lena knew that this was the end, and there was no escaping it. And that's how, in tears, Lena and her friends had their spirits trapped in the haunted house of Ravenwood, where they remain trapped to this day.